Hey everybody, it's Justin from Number Crunch Nerds, and today we are going to do the Section 179 deduction. Specifically, how do you get the deduction into TurboTax? How do you get it to show up correctly? How do you make sure it's being deducted correctly? We're going to walk through all the steps to do that, and let's just jump right in. So we are using the Home and Business version of TurboTax. This is for the 2022 tax year. Section 179 relates to assets you purchase for your business. So we're going to start right here on the Business tab. We're going to click Continue. The first prompt, you can either have the system walk you through everything, which we're going to skip, or you can choose what you work on right here. As I said, Section 179 relates to the deduction of business assets. So we're going to work on this section right here, Business Income and Expenses. Specifically, Schedule C is where you're going to see Section 179 be deducted. So we're going to hit Update on this section. Now, the first thing you would need to do is you need to create a business. You may have a business already in the TurboTax system. If you don't, you're going to click on this button here and you're going to add a business. I've already completed that step, so we can move forward with this example. I just called it an online sales business. If you have multiple businesses, they will all appear right here in a list. So we're going to use this business for purposes of doing the 179 example. So we're going to hit Edit and go into our business. This is where all of the information related to your business, inventory, expenses, income is all going to be listed. To do a Section 179 deduction, the first step is you have to add a business asset. And that's right down here in this section, business assets, business property that is depreciated. So we have to add an asset first in order for to be able to take a 179 deduction. So we're going to hit Update right here. The first question, any large asset purchases, depreciable assets, the answer is going to be yes, because that's the whole point of what we're doing here, is we're trying to get to where we can put in large assets to which Section 179 will apply. So we're going to click yes. We do have large asset purchases. The next question asks, did you buy any items for your business that cost $2,500 or less in 2022? They're asking about each individual item. Did you buy things that cost less than $2,500? And the answer is most likely yes. And the reason that they're asking you this is because you can make an annual election to deduct all of the things that you purchased which were individually under $2,500. So just so you can see what you would most likely be doing, you would click yes because you probably did purchase items that were under $2,500. You'd go to the next screen. It would say, let's see if you can deduct these as expenses. And basically, if you have a consistent process for doing things and you have receipts and some of those items cost under $2,500, which is most likely the case, then you would say, yes, both of these apply to me. Do you want to take this annual election? Most likely you would. And so you would click yes here. And then anything under $2,500 would just be deducted under this election, which is known as the de minimis election. So you should notice here that the only time we're even going to get to Section 179 is if the item, an individual asset that you purchased for your business, it's going to be more than $2,500. If it's less than $2,500, it can be just deducted here under this election. So we're going to say yes to both of these because most likely that's going to be true in your case. But here, it's going to ask you, let's review each item that you bought. And what's going to happen is some items I bought cost $2,500 or less, and some cost more. And that's where we're going to have to move to the next step here. If you have some that cost more. For this example, we're going to assume we have an asset that costs more than $2,500, which we will get to. So we click yes, some of them cost more, and we click continue. Did you make any improvements to a building that you used in your business? For most people, that's probably going to be no. The reason they're asking you this is because Section 179 doesn't actually apply to improvements to a building. However, you can take bonus depreciation, and an example of that is going to be for another video. So right now we're just going to say no, we didn't make any improvements to a building. So we're going to continue. Now, do you have any items for this business that are not covered by your elections? The answer is going to be yes, because there were 2 elections on the previous page. One was the de minimis, the other one related to deducting things related to improving a building. Those were both annual elections that we just looked at. You're going to say yes because you have these assets that they cost more than $2,500 each, and they don't relate to improving a building. So the answer is yes. And it says next you will be able to enter them as assets. So that finally, after going through all those things, now we're going to get to the part where we can start dealing with section 179. So yes, we have items that cost more than $2,500 and don't relate to improvements of a building. I'm going to click continue. Here are the various kinds of assets to which section 179 can apply. For this example, I'm just going to pick computer equipment. Click continue. I'm just going to pick computer and peripheral equipment. Continue. So you're going to have to describe what you purchased. So we're going to put in computer equipment. We're going to put in the cost. So I'm going to say that we purchased a computer for $5,000. You're going to have to put in a date of when that was acquired and click continue. Here are a couple of options where there's some, maybe you traded an old asset. We're not going to deal with that one in this video. Maybe the item was sold or retired or stolen. We're not going to deal with that one. We're going to deal with the simplest case is I purchased this asset. So you purchased a computer for $5,000. It's more than $2,500, so the de minimis rule doesn't apply. Then we're going to keep moving forward to get to 179. The next part is this 100% for business use? In most cases, something like a computer probably wouldn't be. And if it's not, you can select no, which means there will be a partial deduction. I will do a video specifically on selecting no here when you have mixed use assets, assets that are partially for your business, partially for your personal use. For this example, to keep things simple, I'm just going to say yes. We use this computer 100% of the time in the business. And we also have to enter a date we started using it, which I'm just going to put the same date as before. Continue. Now, this is finally the screen. Sometimes I know people search through TurboTax trying to find where to take this 179 deduction. This is the screen where you actually take it. And the selection is right here. I'll deduct the full value of this item this year, i.e. take the 179 deduction. This is where you select it, right here in this little prompt. And you click continue, and that is how you get a 179 deduction into your tax return. Now, for those of you who are watching closely, you may have noticed that when I entered that and hit continue, let's go back real quick. I selected take the 179. I hit continue. It said your 2022 estimate for this expense is $5,000, which was the full amount of the purchase of the computer. We can even look here in the details, and it says, okay, computer equipment, $5,000, 100% business use, section 179 deduction, $5,000. But if you were paying attention, you may have noticed this didn't change at all. The refund or the amount due didn't change when I hit continue after entering that in. So what happened? Well, the section 179 deduction is limited to income from your business. You have to have income in order for the deduction to actually be taken. In other words, you can't take it and create a business loss. So in this example, I would have to have at least $5,000 of income in order to take this deduction. This return currently has no income entered yet, but we're going to enter it so that you can make sure to see how this gets taken on Schedule C. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go to Schedule C, which you can do right up here in this area called Forms. Let's go make sure we can see where this Section 179 deduction is. The first place I'm going to look is actually right here's Schedule C. I'm going to look right below it in this Form 4562. This form is where depreciation and amortization of property for your business is going to be listed right here. Right down here you can see here's the computer equipment, here's the cost, here's the elected cost, meaning I elected 179 on this on the full amount, and you can see right down here on line 8, total elected cost of Section 179 property. In this case, it's $5,000 because that's the only asset that we've put in here so far. So here's the $5,000. However, you will notice down here that on line 12, the Section 179 expense deduction is currently 0, and there's a carryover to 2023 of the full amount. It's disallowed again because we haven't put any income in yet. So we're going to go do that in just a second. Last thing we're going to look at before we do that, Schedule C. Schedule C is the summary of the profit and loss from a business right here, or sole proprietorship, or a single member LLC. So right down here, Part 1, income, line 1G, total gross receipts or sales, currently is none, but we're going to put a number there in just a moment. And I want you to see down here in Part 2, expenses, right down here on line 13, depreciation and Section 179 expense deduction. Right now it's 0, but you're going to see that this number will increase when we add, it's 0 because there's no income. There has to be income, remember? Otherwise it's limited. So let's go, we have nothing here and 0 here. Let's go add some revenue to this tax return, and you'll see that this will populate after that. So let's go back up here, step by step. We're going to go back to business, continue, choose what we want to work on. We're working on the Schedule C right here, update. We're working on our online sales business, edit, right here. Now, earlier we were down here in business assets. We're going to work right now on business income with the red briefcase right here. We're going to hit update. There are a number of 1099s where business income can often come from in these kinds of situations. We're going to skip that for this video, and we'll work on that in another video. For now, we're just going to use general income, business income not reported on other forms, just for this example. And I'm just going to say sales, and let's just say we had $20,000 in sales from this business. Hit continue. Now what you'll see is up here, this started changing. Okay, it says now we have federal tax due of $620 because, number one, there is income to tax, and also there's now a deduction for Section 179, which we will go back and see in just a moment. So let's go back to forms up here on the right-hand corner. Switching to the forms view, we're back on Schedule C. Scroll down to the next page here. Okay, Part 1 income. If you look down here, line 1G, $20,000. That's the online sales that we just entered a moment ago. And now, because there is income before the the Section 179 deduction, go down to Part 2 expenses, and you'll see right here on line 13, the $5,000 is now populated. Okay, this number has to be this number right here, essentially, this final number of gross income, this has to be at least $5,000 in order for this to fully populate, because this is limited to income before this expense. So that is a wrap for Section 179, how to get it into the system and how to make sure it's showing up right here on Schedule C. And I guess one last thing we can look at is the 4562 one more time. And you will see that this time, on line 12, the Section 179 expense deduction that is being allowed is now $5,000, and the carryover to 2023 has now been changed to 0 because we're utilizing the full amount in 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to get the Section 179 deduction into your tax return. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.